Hey, so here today with Justin Cener. And Justin sells on Shopify and online. Did like $3 million in a year selling T-shirts. Is that right, Justin?
Just about that, yeah. Close
awesome.
enough.
Do you have any other things since I've last spoken to you? Any other big businesses going on that you do?
Still focused on e-commerce and T-shirts, and definitely coaching a lot of people. Have a couple of seven-figure earners now that have gone through my program, and 5-6-figure guys. So it's been pretty interesting to do coaching, but definitely still focused on e-commerce and T-shirts, especially kind of print on demand type stuff.
Okay, great. So, can you tell us? Because obviously you're a pretty young guy. What is some of the things that, like, the struggles that you've gone to get to where you're at now in such a short amount of time, and like how has setting goals for yourself helped get you where you've gotten?
Yeah, totally. I think for me, it's all about motivation. Like, I really try to just always have an incredible amount of motivation. I think that, like, motivation is really 90% of like anything entrepreneurial, just because, if you really want something and it's your main focus, like, especially now with all the resources that we could have, how easy it is to build a business, etc. Like, if you want to do something, it's possible to do. You just literally have to just work hard enough. So, in terms of goals, I'll set goals just to really motivate myself to kind of, complete the goal, right? Whether it's short-term or long-term, or like even like a small goal or whatever, like, it kind of builds that motivation. It's kind of like a challenge to say, I set this idea, or this is what I want. The only thing that's stopping me is, me actually doing the work to do it. So I think I just get really motivated when I have goals, so that's why I'll set them, just to increase my motivation. It's kind of, I guess, just competition, it kind of creates a competition with myself, and that definitely increases motivation for sure.
Okay. So the goals gives you the motivation to do these things. Did you ever have any struggles, like, in business to get to where you are, where the goals kind of, like, you wanted to give up, but having those goals maybe helped you, like, stick through something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's why having, like, bigger picture goals is actually kind of a good thing in terms of your day to day, just because, if you mess up on one or two things, but you're still working overall towards, like, that overall goal, it kind of makes it so it wouldn't make sense to quit. You've made other investments into getting to that big goal. And, so I think by having that kind of bigger goal, even if let's say I have like 5 short-term goals and I can't accomplish a couple of them, but, I still took 2 or 3 steps forward, that makes me think that, no shot I'm going to quit at this point, because I've already put in the work to get this far. So, I mean, if failure is fine, you just do it again or try it a different way. But, I would think that it's more about, like, opportunity costs. Once you're into it, there's no way to kind of back out. So definitely those long-term goals, kind of help me do that.
Okay. So basically, as long as you've achieved the most important ones, that's the key. And even if, like, maybe you set some other ones, but you find out during the way that maybe those aren't as important, you'll kind of pivot and just make sure you get the big one done.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just set a lot of small goals,
Okay.
And if I hit a lot of them, great. If I miss on some of them, it's fine, because I'm still going towards that overall goal. All my goals definitely, like, I'll have, like, goals towards other goals. You know what I mean? Like, they'll all kind of contribute to that bigger picture.
Yes. So that actually leads me to the next question is, how do you personally manage your goals? Because everybody I talk to always has their own, like, special system for, that's really unique to them for setting goals. What is something that's unique to you for your goals?
I actually have some, like, on my desk. I just have, like, pieces of paper where I write down exactly what I just talked about. Like, I'll have one goal, like, let's say, for example, a new email marketing funnel, like, or a follow-up funnel, like, a 5-email funnel, right? Or more importantly, something like a course launch, right? If I want to launch a course, I'll have, like, everything underneath that in terms of goals that I'll need to do, or kind of even steps that would achieve that big goal, but they're broken down into little things. One of them would be, like, create an email sequence, right? And obviously creating an email sequence is not just a one-step thing. Those things would have different steps inside of those as well. So I kind of see, like, the big goal is, like, the top thing in the hierarchy, and then underneath it, there's all these little kind of different tasks to do. And, most of them are probably going to be required. Some of them might not be, but, you obviously want to achieve all those small tasks, but they're all kind of just things you check off on the way to that bigger goal. So I kind of just see it as, like, a stepping stone thing. Like, there's one thing at the end, and you basically just have to figure out what's in between, and then you set those as your goals, because that's really the only way to get to the end.
Okay, great. Yeah, I personally used composition books, and then in the composition books, I would do exactly what you're talking about, and I would write down, like, one page would be this big goal, and then I break down, like, a plan. Some of the things that I teach that are the people that have watched this course here. So that's great to see that. Do you have anything? Would you write it down, like, yourself and anything like that?
I mean, I'll literally show you, like, this is like it's like a notepad paper that I got from probably like a hotel or something that I just had in my bag.
Okay.
These are like my big goals for the like basically the rest of the year. And then obviously like then I have other pieces of paper that these are like would be sub goals to this. You know what I mean? So I mean it's not organized at all. It's literally just thrown in front of me on my desk, and I cross things off, and when I do them, and it feels really great to cross things off.
It's good for people to see that, because when I built my company, I mean I did it like when I went from $0 to $250,000 in sales, like in 8 months after going bankrupt. I had these little yellow sticky notes all over my computer. It was the same exact thing. So It's good to see that you don't have to be super formal with this stuff, right? It's just kind of, as long as you write it down and you said it's the most important thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a waste of time of caring about, being formal or having the right formatting or like the proper templates, or it doesn't matter. It's like, you just got to run your business however you want. That's going to be successful. I could literally write it on a napkin. I wouldn't care. It's still going to be equally as valuable to me, because I'm going to actually go and do what's on there, and it's going to make me money, or it's going to, grow my business or whatever. So, I wouldn't worry about anything like that. I hate when I see people waste time on like, really small technical details, or like proper formatting, or, the ideal setup forms or whatever. It's like, you just want to start moving forward, just want to start doing things that are meaningful as quickly as possible. So thinking about where to write down your goals doesn't matter, just as long as you follow them. That's like probably the important.
Absolutely. What do you think? Is there anything that, thinking back, let's say the last 5-10 years of a lot of the accomplishments you have, maybe some mistakes when you first started off, like setting goals, that you've maybe changed your strategy a little bit? Like what would something, like if you go back and tell yourself 5 years ago, hey, when you're going to set goals, don't do this instead. Is there anything like that you'd probably say?
Yeah, I think I did a good job of kind of learning what didn't work. And that's why I'm so granular now with like writing down every single sub-step and making that like a goal, rather than just saying like, I want to launch a new product, or I want to launch a new course, and, just kind of going through all the steps that are required for that in that one big process. You don't do it as, you don't really put the amount of attention or quality into each of those individual tasks, when you just kind of see it as just one big step forward. That's why I break it down like I was talking about in these little lists. Like I definitely didn't do that before. I would just kind of have it in my head saying, these are all the different things that I needed to do. And, I would definitely never write them down. And more importantly, I would never kind of look at them as like individual things that deserve their own attention. I just saw them as, all things equally, that I had to just basically get through ASAP so I can get to the finished product. And the finished product was, never as good. Until I really started kind of being more granular and like really spelling everything out, right? And just having like a goal for every single step, rather than just having one big final goal.
Okay,
so I think that's what I've changed.
Really specific with everything, rather than saying something like someone starting off, I want to make $100,000 in a year. It's very general. But if you say like, I want to start this business and sell 1,500 units at, let's say, 1,000 a piece, or whatever it is, 100 a piece, that will lead me to that number, and then break down how do you sell that. Basically, that's exactly what you would do, something like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I would do, and that's what I always teach. Because I just think it makes the most sense to break things down. It's manageable. It also builds your motivation when you start, like, you kind of, I think the best motivation is when you see results, right? Like if you accomplish a couple things, or if you get to cross things off your list, that kind of gets you extra motivation to move forward and do the next stuff, even if it's kind of, annoying or time consuming.
Kind of having like small, like micro wins. I've heard people call them things like that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think those are super important, right? I think getting constant feedback is super important, like it could just be internal feedback of like feeling good that you finished something, but like, I think that's, that's huge, rather than just saying, I'm going to do like 30 different things, and then at the end, I'm going to turn the switch on and hopefully this all works. Like, I don't think that's a good strategy. I think it's like, doing something small, right? Finishing it, seeing how that kind of contributes to the overall project, then going back and doing the next step, right? Rather than just kind of breezing through it. So yeah, I definitely agree on that side of things.
Would you agree that, like, even let's say if it's just 2 things you did today that made you better for tomorrow, but like, let's say they're important things. Like for me, like I just had to recently learn Facebook retargeting. So like if I learned like how to do one certain like technique just today, but it was important, if I do 1 or 2 of those each day, do you think that's better than trying to do 10 different things like you said?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Probably for a couple of different reasons. And I think that, it's just dangerous to kind of think that you can do everything and just kind of know how to do everything, but never actually go in and put it into practice. I'd rather like focus a whole day on like actually truly understanding or even mastering some type of concept. That's going to be more valuable than just, barely understanding 10 different things. So I think that on one end is important. I think also on the motivation end, like, if you accomplish 10 different things, it might feel good to cross 10 things off your list, but how are they going to actually be helpful to that overall goal? So it might be kind of like a wasted motivation in that way, because you're just kind of accomplishing things that are just the only thing that they are good for is just crossing off a list, and that's it. So I would definitely agree with that for sure.
So sometimes people just, they put like maybe easy to swallow tasks for an ego boost, but it's not giving the real substance that you need, right?
Basically. Yeah, exactly. It's like pick the 10 easiest things that you could do like overall for the business that are unrelated, and they're just on the list because they're easy. Like that would be a bad thing to do. Right? I'd rather have 10 things that are all like, 10 things that are in order and all related to one sub goal of the overall goal. Right? That would be way better time spent, because you have to do that eventually anyway. You might as well do it all at once.
Did you ever get things where you've put them off, like in the past? This is something I've done in the past where it seems like it's supposed to be easy, and when you think about it, but it's really extremely, extremely difficult. But it seems like it's such a small thing, but it's really not a small thing, and you have to focus on that. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days. Have you ever had an instance like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I actually like those better than the opposite, of where a lot of times I'll dread doing something because I think it's just going to take forever or it's going to be really annoying. And then in reality, I spent more time worrying about it than it actually takes time to do it, So I think there's both of those scenarios. In either case, the way I see it is the work has to be done to accomplish the goal anyway. So however long it's going to take, it doesn't matter. Some things are going to take longer than others, and that's just part of the game. So, I don't really, I might not like it, but it would never stop me from doing it, and it would never, in fact, I'd rather put the harder things at the beginning of my list, and just get them out of the way, because I would tend to have more motivation when I start a list rather than when I'm like halfway through it.
Absolutely. And last couple questions is, what do you think, is there any particular goal you've ever had that like it really burns in your brain as one of your most proudest achievements that you like, if I ask you like, what was your favorite goal, something pops out right away. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, probably a couple of them. I have a good one. I really just keep thinking I was, when I was doing e-commerce, right? I was starting to do like t-shirts and stuff. And, my friends were like, they didn't understand what I was doing, at all. And I was like, and I was trying to tell them, and they just couldn't understand what I was talking about. And I was joking with them. I wasn't really joking. I was being serious. I'm like, this was maybe 3 years ago, something like that. I'm like, I'm going to become, a coach for t-shirts. I'm going to teach everyone how to actually sell t-shirts. I'm going to show people exactly what to do. Right. And, because they just thought that I was literally they couldn't, no one understands an online business, right? They think it's too good to be true. So I kind of thought that was ironic in terms of, that was kind of one of the first times I really solidified the idea of me wanting to get into like the coaching side of things. And then, about a year later, I got to rub it in their face and show them that I was, coaching people how to do it. And they were kind of just left behind because they didn't get to try it. But that was definitely some extra motivation for me to accomplish that goal. But that's just kind of one example. There's probably tons of examples where, I'll just think of something and it will be my ultimate driving force. And every single thing that I do during the day is going to be to accomplish that thing, So probably any serious goal I would say would fall into that category.
That's pretty cool. It's a great story. I didn't know that about myself, actually. And it's funny when you said that you were going to, be the Shopify coach, and I think you've become one of the #1 authorities on Shopify. When people say, where do I buy a course on Shopify or like t-shirts, the name Justin Cener comes to most people's minds, I think, nowadays.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah, thank you. I definitely got a pretty good reputation in that space, and I could thank my friends for just being so stupid they couldn't understand the business, and they made me set that goal. But yeah, that was definitely definitely an interesting story for sure. And I'll have to make sure that they watch this so they can laugh at that.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Last thing I usually ask people is, do you think if you didn't write down your goals and you just say, let's say you have them in your head, do you think you'd probably accomplish what you have today without maybe writing your goals down and forming plans like you have?
No, there'd be no doubt that I would not have. Because you can't track everything in your head. Even if you think that you're just, even if you're young and smart and whatever, it doesn't matter. You can't possibly track everything accurately, do everything to the detail that's required to actually, you know, build a legitimate business, you know, no one says it's easy. It's obviously hard, you know? So to say that you're just going to be able to accomplish every single task and track that in your head, I don't think it's realistic, you know? And you might not even know what you're missing until you really kind of see it all out there and say, okay, these are all the steps. This is what I need to accomplish to the final goal. And then you kind of say, well, this doesn't even add up. I also need to do this, this, and that. And then you add those as goals. So I don't think anyone really can accomplish anything huge without actually documenting and kind of understanding every single step there is to do to kind of, you know, achieve the success they're looking for.
Awesome. Well, Justin, thanks. This has been a fantastic interview. I really appreciate you taking your time, you know, to help all the people that are watching this, and to myself. You know, I always learn something when I talk to you, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. It's my pleasure, man. It was definitely fun to talk to you.
And I'm probably going to put like some kind of a link here if people want to reach out to you or something like that, or if they want to like check out some of the information you have. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I'll share some links, and definitely find me on Facebook, and we'll just put the links down here for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it, Justin.
All right. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.